Once upon a time, only a few giants harbored ill will towards the Asgardians. Now it feels like all of them are against the Asgardians. Furious over the loss of their vital master builder, many mountain giants unleashed avalanches and trampled over the fields of humans. In response, Odin rode forth to scout the land of giants, arriving at the court of Hrungnir, the mightiest and strongest of all giants. Hrungnir stood at his gate and called out,
"Who is this man riding through sky and sea with a golden helmet?"
Odin gave no reply, thinking the giant surely must have recognized him.
"You possess an impressive steed."
Feeling superior with his new 8-legged horse Sleipnir, Odin retorted,
"I'd bet my head that there is no horse in the land of giants that matches its speed."
"Your horse may be as fast as the wind, but my horse, Goldmane, leaps far greater distances and outruns the storm."
Instead of answering, Odin leapt onto Sleipnir and dashed off. Hrungnir, fuming with anger, mounted Goldmane and pursued Odin to make him pay for his boasting. But Odin rode so swiftly that he was always 2 hills ahead. No matter how much Hrungnir urged Goldmane on, he couldn't catch up to Odin on Sleipnir. Blinded by rage, Hrungnir followed Odin all the way to the courtyard of Asgard. As Odin returned to Asgard, some spoke of his retreat as a flight, while others praised him for cleverly luring the enemy into the stronghold of the gods. Since Hrungnir was now in Asgard, Odin invited him to a feast in his hall. The giants are taller than the Asgardians, and as their tallest and strongest giant stood next to the Asgardians, he towered over them menacingly. He was offered Thor's drinking bowls, for Thor had gone to war against the mountain giants. Thor wasn't one to drink like a mere mortal. He drank in quantities fit for several men. Hrungnir emptied each bowl in a single gulp. Refills came quickly, and Hrungnir started to become drunk and to provoke the Asgardians. They had dared to break an oath just because the master builder had been a giant. Hrungnir continued drinking and shouted,
"Because we are free, you Asgardians call us giants evil, and you consider yourselves perfect, fit to rule over us giants."
Only Frigg dared to continue pouring for the giant. Hrungnir became even drunker and threatened the Asgardians.
"I could dismantle your entire hall and carry it to the land of giants. I could trample Asgard and kill all Asgardians, just as you did the master builder. Only Frigg and Sif would I take with me as slaves."
At that moment, Thor arrived.
"Meet me at the border of the land of giants, at the rock courts, to show some courage. If I had my shield and whetstone with me, I'd engage in combat right away."
Thor accepted immediately on the spot. Since Hrungnir had revealed his hostile intentions, some Asgardians urged Thor to slay the giant right now. But the Son of Thunder met the giant honorably, and since no one had ever dared to challenge Hrungnir to a duel before, he was keen to accept the challenge at all costs. Thor and Hrungnir agreed to duel at the rock courts. Then Hrungnir mounted Goldmane and rode off with great leaps. The giants praised Hrungnir's journey to Asgard and his challenge to Thor. They knew this duel would be a decisive one. Hrungnir was their mightiest warrior and wielded a fearsome weapon, but from Thor and his hammer Mjolnir, the worst was to be expected. Beside Hrungnir stood the clay giant Mukurkalfi, boasting loudly. However, when he caught sight of Thor, it said he wet himself in fear. Thor arrived for the duel with his servant Thjalfi, the fastest runner in Midgard. Thjalfi sprinted ahead and called out to Hrungnir,
"You're holding your shield to your chest, but Thor will attack you from below."
Hrungnir laid the shield on the ground and stood upon it.
"Or is the runner trying to deceive me?"
thought the giant, lifting the shield back to his chest. Soon, Hrungnir was uncertain how best to protect himself. He switched the position of his shield and grasped his whetstone, a stone capable of shattering anything, with both hands, ready to throw. Then the sky thundered, and the path of the moon arched. The high skies, where eagles and hawks soar, lit up from the trail of Thor's chariot. In the fury of the Asgardians, Thor drove his 2 goats forward. Hail rained down, cliffs cracked, and the earth almost shattered. The sky filled with lightning, and thunderclaps fractured the rocks. Thor swung Mjolnir and hurled it from afar at Hrungnir. As Thor rushed forward, The giant had just stood upon his shield and hurled the whetstone with both hands at Thor. The hammer collided in midair with the whetstone and shattered it. A chunk fell to the ground, giving rise to the whetstone mountains and stone quarries. However, another piece of whetstone flew with such force into Thor's head that he fell to the ground. Yet Mjolnir remained unscathed, striking squarely on Hrungnir's head and smashing it into small pieces. The giant fell over Thor, who had by then rushed forward in such a way that one of Hrungnir's dead feet lay on his neck, pinning him to the ground like a clamp. Meanwhile, Thialfi was fighting the clay giant Mukurkalfi. Mukurkalfi defended himself tremblingly, his mare's heart quivered. Thialfi struck him multiple times and chopped off both his arms, causing the massive creature to collapse powerlessly. Then Thialfi approached Thor and tried to lift Hrungnir's foot off Thor's neck, but he lacked the strength for the massive foot. When the Asgardians heard of Thor's fall, they rushed over, but they too could not free Thor. The Asgardians then called for Thor's son, Magni, who had been born to the giantess Jarnsaxa just 3 days prior. Magni arrived and lifted Hrungnir's foot off Thor's neck. Thor stood up, greeted his son, predicted a significant future for him, and gifted him the stallion Goldmane.
Why doesn't your father get the horse, but instead the son of a giantess?
Odin wondered. Then Thor returned to his residence, Kraftheim, in Asgard. Groa, a seeress, learned about the piece of whetstone still lodged in Thor's head, causing him pain. She was the wife of a brave man whom the giants had captured months ago. The seeress leaned over Thor's head and sang her magic songs. The shard of stone began to loosen. Thor felt the pain subsiding, but he rewarded the seeress for her relief too soon. He told her how he had freed her husband in the land of giants, hidden him in a basket, and carried him on his back out of the land of giants. However, a sinew protruding from the wicker had frozen, so he broke it off, threw it into the sky, and made a constellation that bore her husband's name.
"Your husband will return home soon,"
said Thor. The seeress became so happy and excited that she forgot her other magic songs. The piece of whetstone remained lodged in Thor's head. Ever since, people have been warned not to throw a whetstone over their heads, for doing so would move the shard in Thor's head, causing him pain. The Asgardians realized how dangerous the duel had been for Thor and how little they knew about their own future. Therefore, Odin returned to the well near the World Tree, which Mimir no longer guarded, but still held its magic. This time, Odin did not find the price of an eye too steep and offered it for a sip of the highest wisdom from the well. Now the Allfather understood the prophecies better and what the Norns had meant by Ragnarok, the warning of the doom of the Asgardians and all the worlds in a final battle against the enemies of the world. After this drink from the well of wisdom, Odin was never fully joyful again. He also distrusted his unreliable Loki more than ever before.